This is Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given is not intended to replace that of your business advisor. Now, let's get down to talking about your business, your success. This is Business Talk.
Well, happy Saturday, Peg.
Happy Saturday. Great to be with you guys again.
Absolutely. Hi, Alan.
And I appreciate, you know what, Pete? I really appreciate hearing the feedback that you all listeners have given us through the comments, through the emails, through even texting. We've gotten some comments. In fact, this show, we've gone ahead. We got so much great feedback from our first show on sales that they said we want more.
Right.
So we decided to do sales part 2.
And it's critical for every business, no matter what business you're in.
Right.
You are continually, hopefully, closing deals for new prospects. But as Peg mentioned in the last show on sales last week, that we're always looking for new employees as well.
Well, exactly. Always.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of this process. It's the same process.
Because we were just at an economist about a month ago with First Merchants Bank, and one of the things he said, and we echoed it, he didn't have to tell us that, the number one business challenge in today's environment is finding good people.
Right. At all levels.
At all levels, everywhere.
High levels.
Absolutely.
Hands-on levels, every level.
So we're talking about sales today, but before sales, Pete, now Pete and I have been business coaches now for the last 13 years for me, 14 years for you.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while. We want to start with good news. We want to start your day with what's going on in the world. So,
we
Pete,
always
give
start
us
with
some
good news.
Yes.
Right. Why do we do that, Peg?
Well, it's because when you look at news feeds, and I have to tell you, it drives me nuts when I see some people watching the news all the time because it's all negative. They're going to come up and they're going to take something that's very small.
Well, it sells things, right?
Exactly, and it makes people want to tune in. I remember Nate, who is our trainer.
Yes. Very positive gentleman.
Very positive gentleman.
Yep.
We went to go work out last week, and a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh, nobody showed up." I go, "Where's your team?" They go, "Oh, they were all afraid of the ice." And so the night before, the news had made it such a, "Oh my, the weather conditions are going to be awful." And I go, "Well, the
we have
streets
a half
were
an
fine."
inch of snow.
Yeah, the streets were fine. He goes, "I know, but everybody got panicked." And that's what sometimes news does, is it panics you.
Right.
So we're going to say some good things. Pete, tell me what's going on.
Here we go. So we have a client in St. Louis that one of their major customers is Boeing. And this article here says tax overhaul gives Boeing a big boost. And there's some interesting stuff in here. It said that their effective tax rate will drop to approximately 16%. They're going to spend a lot of that in product development, in other words, and workforce training and factories. So
you mean
things.
with the adjustment in the tax rates that we're seeing?
Yeah, with their lower tax rate, they're going to spend billions of dollars on product development, in other words, future airplanes, training their workforce, and building factories. And they have a huge backlog. They're with everybody's got competitors. Their big competitors, Airbus, which is over in Europe, and they're doing quite well competing with them. Their capital spending, in other words, what this company is going to spend internally on capital improvements, is $2.2 billion.
Wow. Okay.
$2 billion a year. That's a lot.
Not Airbus, Boeing.
Boeing, yeah.
Boeing
right.
is.
And that's a big deal.
You know, we're seeing this tax cut. I'm just saying, we are seeing it impact America.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's positive.
Things like this.
It's positive. And these guys employ thousands of workers, but they also have thousands of subcontractors.
Right.
And they're all busy.
Right.
And the reason is, I'll read this, I just like the statistic. Boeing delivered last year 763 jetliners. 2 a day. Think about that. 2 of these extremely complex machines.
Big machines.
Every day.
Big machines.
It's amazing.
So that's great. That's
cool.
showing growth. Okay,
Cool.
What else?
Now, the other thing is, I just rewatched that movie, The Martian. You ever seen that?
You know
it's
what?
really good.
I think
Matt
I have.
Damon. It's
Wait,
awesome.
tell me what it's about. I
Well,
forget.
this guy, and I read the book, and then I saw the movie, and I've seen the movie a couple
I think
times
I've
now.
seen it.
It's excellent. These guys, it's men and women astronauts. A whole bunch of them go to Mars. There's like 6 of them. There's a storm on the planet.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
And the ship takes off, and Matt is left there.
He's left
They
on
left
Mars.
him.
Yes.
He's by himself
Yes.
for a couple of years.
It is
It's
great movie.
cool.
I love
It's
that
really
movie.
cool.
You're right. And of
Anyway.
course, Matt Damon does it terrific.
Oh, yeah.
As he
Yeah,
would.
it's awesome.
It's a great
Yeah,
movie.
it's cool.
I remember
It's a great
seeing
story. I mean, some of it's kind of like, oh, my God, I can't believe he did that and lived, but But anyway, this story is about, a few years ago, NASA got cut back dramatically, but the United States is kicking butt. There's this thing in here about SpaceX launching these huge rockets, very similar to what NASA used to launch. The Saturn V was the biggest rocket in the world, and this and that. Falcon, these other companies are doing the same thing. And there's 2 or 3 of them that are doing it.
Really?
So we're replacing what used to be a gigantic piece of the government privately. within the country, and these are extremely high-paying jobs. And one of the little sub-articles, we have a client who has a Tesla. They're gonna put a Tesla into space, equipped on Twitter. We're gonna remain in deep space for 1 billion years. You said the first 3 minutes they're gonna put a Tesla car up in one of these rockets.
And what's the purpose, Pete?
You know, it doesn't say. It just says
for marketing.
They're going to carry a red Tesla Roadster as a mock payload.
Alrighty then.
Because he owns the company, he's like, well, let's put one of my cars
do. Why
up there.
not? Well, if you know, it's interesting, and now
it's cool.
our topic is sales today. It's a continuation of our sales, but you know what Pete and I were talking about, and boy, if I mean, we could have a whole show on this. Is, you know how you just said they're privatizing the space program?
Yeah.
You know what Amazon is talking about doing with healthcare? You and I were talking about that.
You know, we got to learn a little bit. I don't know anything about
Here's
it, but
our
it's
promise.
interesting.
Yes, this is what we're going to do. Pete and I will look and investigate this so we can talk about it on our show. But just them trying to take this as a challenge to say maybe we can fix it, whatever it is.
Right.
I was like, you know what? Yay. More people in.
Well,
Let's see what we can do.
It's a very complex problem. It's been going on for a long time. We're always going to need it, right? Mm-hmm. And they have lots of employees, and they have lots of money. So let them give it a try.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
What's the problem?
Let's try and figure it out. I don't think anybody's complaining about it.
I hope not. Yeah.
I mean, just let's see what happens.
Let's find out, right?
So anyway,
Okay.
I like that, trying to privatize healthcare.
Wow.
Or, you know,
Okay.
not, I mean, like that whole thing.
So last thing, this is it.
Okay.
This is real quick. In 2006, the United States imported 12.9 million barrels a day of crude oil, which, as you remember from last time, 1 barrel is 42 gallons.
I do remember that.
Now, by last October, it's down to 2.5 million. So it went from 12.9 to 2.5 because we're producing more here.
There we go.
Isn't that cool?
There we go.
Again, high-paying jobs, too. Okay.
High-paying jobs.
Yep. All
So,
right.
so what happened is Pete and I, in our last week's show, we were going through sales, and we did get some comments of, you know what, I'd like to hear more of that. I'd like you to continue. So what we thought we would do is pick up where we left off. Now, we do have a website called takeactionbusinesscoaching.com. Right. You can go on that site, click on the
Business Talk icon, and there are past shows
so you can
on
listen
a variety of topics.
You could listen to the first show.
You could.
And so this will be part 2.
Yes.
So we're picking up. But you didn't, unlike some of those series movies where you have to go to part 1 and part 2, this can stand alone. You don't have to listen to part 1.
You could listen to this show and then be a radical and go back and listen to the other show.
Yes, one doesn't have to be built on the other, in other words.
Right. And that would not be nefarious.
If you listen to our first show, nefarious was our word of the day.
The word of the day.
We need a word of the week. We're going to come up with another word of the week.
Oh, really?
We'll figure it out.
All right. Let's not be villainous and do it quickly.
Let's do it.
All right. So, we've been talking about sales. Now, this book that we really like and recommend is called World Class Selling by Roy Chitwood. It's called The Science of Selling, and he's very methodical about his approach. Would you say? I mean,
yes.
It's very...
Well, if you look at the book, and one thing, Pete, I thought was a great recommendation is this isn't something you're going to get on audio. This is going to be a resource book.
Right.
It's like a textbook, which is really filled with wonderful tips, strategies, things that can make you better.
Right.
And so this isn't the only author, obviously, that we would recommend in sales. We love Jeffrey Gitomer. We really like Thomas Friese. Thomas Friese wrote Question-Based Selling.
Very good book.
And Gitomer has written the Sales Bible, Little Red Book of Selling, the Little Red Yellow Book of Trust. I'm trying to think.
Right.
Networking. He has a whole series.
Yeah. He's a good speaker, too. He's out in the country speaking a lot.
Great speaking. Like, if you see him speaking, I would suggest you taking your sales people and seeing him. You definitely will learn.
He throws a little humor in there.
Yes.
Okay, so there are a lot of pearls of wisdom that come out of this book that I really like, that we like. And one of them is, and we can talk about this for a minute, is an ethical philosophy of win-win. It's not about going into a prospect and taking something from them. You got to get this into your head.
Right. You mean
It's
as
about-
a salesperson, I'm
Yes.
going in and saying, how can I deliver and help you?
It's about service.
We talked about that in the last show, is that a professional salesperson is not an order taker. They're not.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're not trying to get something.
You're not waiting by the fax machine. People used to do that years ago, right?
They did. They did. They're problem solvers.
Right.
And you're
Right.
ethically trying to help solve a problem for the individual.
Right. And if our company or the company that you represent is not the best solution for that customer, you have an ethical obligation to let them know and turn them loose as quickly as possible. Plus, it saves you time, too.
Right.
You can move on.
Yes, there you
Right?
go. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
if I'm
that.
not the right person to help you, great. I'm going to find somebody who is. And a lot of times we know who the right people are to help them.
And we can
Right?
turn them loose. And that's part of your job because you're a problem solver. And that's a true professional.
Yep. And you built a great relationship, and that relationship will outlast you.
Villainous.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
We're talking today about sales, and we have a great book here called World Class Selling by Roy Chitwood. It's the second edition, and we're going through some of the principles there. But one of the things we want to mention to you folks is that we do a 90-day planning session that we call Growth Club, because you're going to grow your business as a result, every quarter, oddly enough, with a group of our clients here in Columbus, Ohio, and we'd like to invite you as a guest.
Right. And it will be on March the 9th. Or 2nd.
Second.
Sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
March the 2nd. And it's going to start from 8:30 and it goes until about 3:30.
3:30,
We'll have,
right.
and you get to come in jeans or casual or business attire, and there'll be about 40 other
Now,
businesses
it's a full
there.
day, and basically what the concept is that one of our coaches, actually multiple of our coaches, we have 5 now in our team, will walk you through a structured method to come up with a plan for your next 90 days.
And here's the neat part. So every time you come there, now some of our clients, we Take Action Business Coaching, our firm right here is part of a
Global
franchise,
organization.
yeah, global organization, and we just won as a firm in Canada a couple months ago, the top coaching firm in the world out of 70 countries, thousands of coaches, for the longest retention rate of clients. The reason we do that is because we get results. People, you don't sign a contract with us.
6 years, 72 months, right?
It's 72 months.
Right.
It's because we get results. And once you wouldn't, if you're getting results, why would you quit?
Right.
So one of the things that we do is all of these clients come at the 90-day plan. So you get to meet people of like-minded, and you get to share
In different
stories.
businesses. They're all different
Right.
types of businesses.
And because of that, one of our promises to our clients is that we keep it fresh. So we have a guest speaker each time. Well, I'm telling you, our guest speaker of this time is we have Jeff Yates, who is a CPA here locally in Columbus, and he's going to speak for about 45 minutes to an hour on how to make sure that you have and how do we word it in a positive way, Pete, that you keep your money and it's not stolen from you. You avoid embezzling.
Right. And the reason for this is we had a local story here of someone who was embezzled.
Right.
And that's why you asked Jeff to speak, and
Well,
he said, of course.
It's many of our
It happens.
and a few of our clients actually were embezzled, and it's not talked about. You feel very embarrassed, and what
Right.
we're talking about is how do we prevent employees from stealing from you? From a bookkeeping, I mean, there's always the cashier.
And he's got some very specific
Strategies.
recommendations, strategies to implement.
So you are welcome to call us up, and we had this before, and we got the first caller.
So 614-306-7922. Number one will have you, if you'd like to come to the 90-day planning session, yourself and one of your employees or managers, come spend the day with us. If you'd like to come and hear Jeff only, that's fine as well. But give us a call, 614-306-7922.
Okay, great. So
Good.
let's hop back into this strategies here on selling.
Yeah, so we're talking about this book, World Class Selling, and there are some principles here that we really like, and one of them is this idea of win-win and making sure that we're providing service to the customer. The other thing is mindset, and we've talked about this a lot on other shows, is that there's nothing wrong with being a professional salesperson.
Oh, yes. So a lot. Okay. So when we have coached other salespeople, sometimes it's not about training them technically. Sometimes it's not making sure they follow the process. It's about changing a belief system in their head.
Those of you that have multiple salespeople in your company, a lot of times you'll have a monthly sales meeting, or you'll have one every week or every other week, that kind of thing. The next time you get those folks together, or if it's just you and maybe one other person, each of you take a piece of paper. This is an exercise, piece of homework, is write down your beliefs about salespeople. Just write them down.
And write it down. Challenge yourself to come up with 10.
Yeah. All the things that you believe
To
about
be true.
salespeople.
And a belief is something you hold to be true.
It doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
And then they always ask the question, well, what do you mean? Is that like a car salesman versus, we say just salesperson in general.
Right. And we're flipping to what Roy Chitwood here talks about is we want you to be in a spirit of service when you're professionally selling, to be of service to your customer or your prospective customer. Thinking about that all the time with everything you do.
And so the whole exercise for the belief system is if you are writing down a lot of negative things like trying to get one over on me.
I'm pushy.
It's all about money.
I'm focused on the sale.
Slimy. It's all about me. Like if you see or your salespeople are saying that, then that means we have to get over a belief system of what a salesperson is. And the way you get through a belief system, Pete, is you have to go and find proof. So
you find someone who's doing it
correctly.
Well.
Yes.
Or correctly.
Yes. Yeah. And then that's one thing. So a lot of times we had one person, Pete, I was thinking this was, 8 years ago. We had a person who was selling different products, and they had equipment. They were doing equipment. They had big products, and then they had little, I want to say accessories, but
sure,
for lack of a word, smaller items.
Yeah.
And they weren't selling the smaller items. It was really interesting because their average dollar sale, which you should be measuring for every one of your salespeople, was lower than it should have been.
Okay.
Well, you're trying to figure out what was going on. So we looked at the product mix, and he wasn't selling, like, there was 3 different elements that were like add-ons, but really benefit. Yeah. And we got a hold of him, and he's like, well, I don't believe in it. I think it's just your way of trying to get more money out of it. So when they don't believe in something, it's a belief system. Oh, they don't need that. That's just too expensive. Well, actually, did you know that when you did this, it could save somebody's life? Did you know that this is in somebody's...
Some of them are safety related.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And we had to tackle it from a belief system of understanding the product, understanding the benefits, and getting over his own belief that everything was too expensive. Because he was in charge of their wallet. They weren't. Right. And he wasn't even positioning it.
Well, and in a lot of cases, you've got to ask great questions to find out what they really need, and then let them make the choice. Right. And an example, we do work with some heating and cooling companies across the state, and one of the things that are being offered now, humidifiers are a pretty common thing that sometimes help people prevent colds and that kind of thing in the wintertime especially. But they also have ultraviolet devices that will take out allergens and kill viruses and bacteria and things.
That's what I was talking about.
And you can add that on, yeah. Okay.
That was exactly that story.
Okay, there you go.
Because what he wasn't selling is the allergen thing. And here somebody said that had helped them save because they had high, severe allergies.
Right.
And it was saving this person. And you're not even presenting it as an option.
Right.
Oh, they don't need that.
And if you've had a child or if you have allergies, it's miserable. One of my kids has allergies, and
which one has allergies?
David.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, but we have a couple clients that have allergies, and they're when their allergies are flaring up,
not good.
It's miserable.
So, so belief system is something. Now that's not talking about in the book. That's just Pete and I coaching. That belief system is a really big thing to tackle for your team.
So that's a little piece of homework there. What are your beliefs? And then think about those. Are those really the things that I need to hold in my head as I'm approaching helping a new customer? Potential customer.
And how often are you meeting with your salespeople, by the way, guys? Are you saying, oh, no, they're good? Or are you really meeting with them one-on-one on a structured basis where you are coaching them?
Right.
One of the things Pete and I do is we do help coach salespeople, and you use us as leverage. Yes. Use us as leverage because they need more time, and you're not giving it to them.
Another great question is, and this is related to what Peg is talking about, if you have a half a dozen salespeople that are out on the road all the time, when was the last time you went and rode along with them?
Right, exactly.
Go with them. Mm-hmm. Not to spy on them, but to spend time with them, to get to know them and how they're approaching their challenges, and figure out how you can help them the best back at the office.
You know what was interesting? A long time ago, I had my boss when I was a sales manager and he was like the vice president. He took me out for one breakfast for 1 hour, and he decided to do that with each one of his team. And it wasn't the purpose wasn't to talk about business, but after that breakfast, we got a $5 million deal from that breakfast. And it wasn't set up.
It's not an accident.
It wasn't an accident. Okay. No, I just started talking about a frustration and one idea I had, and then we ended up doing it. So. It's going to be worth your time.
The gentleman that wrote this book, and again, it's World-Class Selling, it's Roy Chitwood. The things that he says in here really resonate with us. They make sense, and they're the right thing to do. It says a professional salesperson makes a sales call for only one reason: to be of service to the customer.
Right.
Companies cannot be all things to all people, and you, as the professional, need to recognize when it isn't a fit and be the first person to let the customer know and to walk away. And if you know someone that could help them better, to make the introduction.
That's credibility.
Absolutely. That's long-term credibility.
That's credibility. Yep. That is good. That is good.
Yep. And some of the other principles here. It's just we want to be people-oriented, not necessarily product-oriented. We want to remember to smile.
Yes, make sure to smile.
Make sure you smile.
I know that sounds funny, but if you are more analytical in nature and you're a salesperson, which could be that you're selling a technical product,
yep.
It isn't natural for you to smile. So let's just make sure you do.
Right. And we talked about Dale Carnegie at one of our breaks in the past year. I think all three of us have gone through.
Dale. Yeah, Dale Carnegie.
Have gone through
great.
it. It's
Wonderful.
been a few years, but it was great.
I
went through it twice.
I would recommend it. You know, we have a Dale Carnegie here locally.
Uh-huh.
I would absolutely recommend it.
And they have a general course and they have a sales course.
And they have all different types of courses if you go online.
Okay.
They have good classes. You can bring them into your business or just great. But if you need a Dale Carnegie contact, you can call us.
Yeah, 614-306-7922.
We have some people because we that we can endorse that are here.
The reason
locally.
I bring that up is in this book it says one of the sentences, it says be genuinely interested in others. I mean, that's Dale Carnegie.
That's Dale Carnegie.
Right. It's right out of there. Talk about subjects and topics that are of importance to the prospect. And we mentioned this in a previous segment, is that we need to be great at asking questions to determine what really is the best way to help this person on the other side of the desk.
Right, because that's your job.
Them? Your job is to ask enough questions to really understand what they need. They don't need a machine. They need what the machine does. And what is it that we can help them do to help them be more successful?
And are you doing a return on investment in your sales? And whatever that is, whether it's money or time or whatever it is, are you getting at the emotion and then doing a return on investment every time? Because we see that conversion rate is low when we don't have a process set up where we're doing that.
So part of our discussion with folks is to always return to what's the return.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't necessarily think they want to talk about it, you've got to help them want to talk about it.
Right.
All right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good. So we're going to make a concentrated effort to practice giving 3 honest and sincere compliments every day. That's Dale Carnegie as well.
Yeah, nothing's ever new. Everything is
this
still
is not new stuff.
Yeah, no.
It's like,
I like that, Pete, though.
Common sense.
That's still good.
Yeah.
So repeat that. This is homework. I like
Make
this.
a concentrated effort to practice giving 3 honest and sincere compliments every day. I mean, that's just human relations 101, right? With your kids, your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your producer.
Alan, you're great.
You're awesome.
I got the one. But really, that should be with your man as a manager. One thing we say is 8 out of your 10 feedbacks to your team positive, or are you constantly correcting them? Same kind of feel.
Right. We want to be giving them positive feedback all the time.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
Well, we're having a good time, aren't we, Pete?
Yes, we are. We always do, and today is no exception. It's a great day in Ohio.
Well, and we're talking about sales, which, you know what, you have to get excited
stuff.
about that. You have to.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
So before the break, we were talking about strategies and different ideas on sales. And as we were talking about being a professional and how we help people. Right. And our belief system. So what are some other things that he is leading us into?
Well, I think, these are some things. And again, a lot of times it's when we're coaching folks, it's advanced common sense.
Mm-hmm.
One of the chapter headings is integrity pays. Oh, no kidding.
Right.
But you've got to just make it a habit of, I'm serving this person across the table. I'm trying to help them with their business and their challenges. And if I do that well, we're both going to do great.
Well, and one thing there's a couple things. Number one thing you said at the last show, so because this is part 2, the first show you said last week was, I give your homework is, what sales book are you going to read?
Oh, yes. And we rattled off a few of them. One of them is this book, World Class Selling. Another one was Question-Based Selling, Thomas Freeze.
Right. I mean, there's
and then
so many.
You rattle off some Jeffrey Gitomer books. There's at least 3 of them.
Well, and then we've talked about
Sales
Dale
Bible
Carnegie.
and Dale Carnegie.
And we haven't brought up Sandler Sales, which I think is good. They have a
do
great
an excellent
book.
job.
They have Sandler Sales is equally a good book. So there's different books that we want, because you know what? To truly be a professional is to truly study your profession.
Well, think about now who won the Super Bowl. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. They're professionals.
Right.
They didn't get rattled. They're up against arguably one of the best NFL franchises ever.
Right.
And they didn't get rattled. They just went out and played a great game, and they won.
And that's what being a professional is studying. And so here's one question.
And preparing.
That one thing that we want you to ask your sales candidates when you're hiring them is, what was your last coach you had? What was the last book you had?
read.
Yeah. What would be the last class you attended on sales?
If you read a sales book every other month the rest of this year, you'd be miles ahead of 80% of the people out there.
And do it as a team, even. Like,
could do that.
Look at Jeffrey Gitomer's series and decide for yourself what fits, or Thomas Freeze.
We're rereading this book with a client, and all we're doing is the first 40 pages. That's it. In 2 weeks.
It's about application.
It's a little bit at a time.
Not just hurrying up and getting through it.
And then how does it apply? Because a lot of these things people are doing automatically anyway. Mm-hmm. It's about discovering a couple things that, wow, I hadn't thought about that. And then how do I apply it in my everyday
And when you bring
career?
Pete and I in as business coaches, what we do is we're working on the whole business. Sales is one of those parts, right? We want to create systems, processes, accountability, goals. We want to help them at an executive level of getting their game up. We want them to, in coaching, we're doing it every week. So we are there one-on-one every week making sure this happens.
The great thing about this book that I like is that it's about creating a system that is aligned with your goals as a business professional. If you own this business, it's going to help you be successful, help your customers be successful, help your salespeople be successful. So everybody's going to win. Mm-hmm. And one of the headings here, and we talked about this last time, is that we gave you some homework. Think about what's your image of a salesperson, and then asking your team, what is their image of a salesperson? Sometimes you have negative images, right? And we want you to be thinking about a positive image. So if you're a professional salesperson, Peg, and you managed large sales teams before of people that only did sales. Correct. They're out there trying to close deals. What is it that they should have, and anybody should have in their head when they're pulling into the parking lot of a prospective customer, and they put the car in park and they're getting ready to walk in? What should they be thinking?
Okay, so here's one thing that I had
mindset.
I had a couple of clients. This was homework for that mindset. So go onto YouTube, look up Tony Robbins, and you're going to see it's called Incantation. So put Tony Robbins Incantation. He goes through a series of what an incantation is. And so an incantation is something, what you're saying to yourself about yourself right before that moment. Okay. And he used to do it before every sales call. And then you get yourself pumped up by physically and verbally getting your body prepared with high energy.
So you get up on your front porch
and scream, I am great at sales because I help others, and you actually physically get involved. Now, he talks about doing it in the car, like you just said, right before that moment. Right. But it does work. And what is it that you're creating strategies to make yourself better? Because that's what this is about. It's about progress and competing against yourself.
Well, and also we recognize that we're in the real world, right? And the TV news, the radio news, maybe some of your coworkers, there's a lot of negativity out there.
Right.
And you need to be able to filter that out so you can focus on that person across the table that you should be able to help. Even if it's not you that helps them, you might help them by getting to that quicker.
So you listening, one thing Pete and I are meet with different team members, and Don and Michelle Alves, and we had one employee that wasn't doing so well, and they said, well, I'm doing my job great. I'm doing it great. I'm getting everything executed. And we said, here's the missing link. Part of your job is being a positive team player.
Uh-huh.
And when you are doing just your job, thinking you're doing a great job, and you're missing that element, that's not doing a good job. Our expectations is positive team player. Right. So when you said that about being positive or negative,
it's team
I thought
success, team failure, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Now we want you to concentrate on you as well.
Of course, you got to perform.
And
right.
So
Right, great. So one of the things that he talks about in here, and we'll get into some of the meat of here, is the order of the 5 buying decisions.
Okay.
So I'm sitting across the table with a prospective customer. I know that they're in business, and I know they could potentially use the product or service that I'm selling. There's 5 things, and it's in this order that they're going to think about as they're processing this opportunity for me to provide a product or service. They're thinking about you, the salesperson. That's number 1. They want to know about your company. They want to know about your product or service.
So first you have to sell you, the salesperson.
Yourself
They have to
first.
believe in you first. I agree. Then it's the company. Love it.
Then it's
yes.
your company. Then it's your product or service.
Got it.
Then it's about price. So price is number 4. Then is the time. Is it the time?
Now I want to stop that right
That's
there.
good.
A lot of times we get impatient as salespeople because we think it's our time.
We want to jump a step.
Well, or it's about our time.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's right. It's time for us, not for them. So you might have to look at the sales manager and say, well, they didn't buy because they had to do A, B, C, and D.
Right.
The timing was right for us, but not for them. And understanding when it's an excuse and when it's the right time. So understanding that, you know what, it might not be the right time for them.
Right. If I walked into an accountant's practice on April 14th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, is that an appropriate time to talk to them about providing a service to them?
Right. Well, is the sale at their moment the right time?
Right.
And that's part of qualifying too. That's part of your job of qualifying, because guess what? That's how you have warm leads, because we have a tickler file and we say, okay, that's why we have a long prospect list, because we need the timing to be right for both.
And this number 1 thing here about you, the salesperson, it really comes down to a couple things. It's about your integrity and your judgment. They're judging you on who you are and what type of decisions you make.
Right.
And you have to build a relationship before you can do step number 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Exactly.
It starts with you first.
Exactly.
Right?
So if you're selling some equipment, for example, and they like the equipment, they believe in you, they believe in the company, and they don't have the financing ready because maybe their credit line isn't there or they don't have the cash flow, then you're going to have to wait. I mean, that's a real, we can't purchase it. We do not have the money.
So some of the things they're thinking about when you first meet someone is how interested they're thinking about how interested is this person in serving me and my company and my employees. And are they interested in really understanding what my needs are?
Right. Right. That's part of the evaluation.
And do I like this person? Let's talk about that for a minute. They need to like you.
Absolutely.
If they do, they're a lot more likely to use your services, right?
Right. Right. You know what? You have to be likable. People want to buy from people.
So we'll throw in a non-sales book that applies to this directly is the Emotional Intelligence 2.0. We have a lot of clients who've read that book and applied it, and it is very, very good. Travis Bradberry, right?
Yeah, Dr. Travis Bradberry. And then you know what book I thought you were going to say? Tony Alessandra's People Smart in Business.
Oh, yeah. That's a disc behavior profile book. It's excellent. It's a little paperback. It's a quick read, and it's excellent.
Because what you just said is they need to like you. Well, this is going to help you on how to build rapport, because building rapport and understanding how to be liked is about your ability to read the other person and adjust your style.
So, for example, if I'm a fast-paced person and I get in front of a slower-paced person and I recognize it and adjust, my probability of building a relationship quickly with them is much higher than if I go at my same speed.
Right.
No matter what.
Right. Exactly.
You've got to adjust. Okay.
Exactly.
Good.
So that is good.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is your company, about the buying decision. If they say, okay, this person's good, I trust them, I think I could work with this person, and I think they're sincere and they have integrity. The next thing is, what about this person's company? How do I evaluate their company, and what things should I know as a prospective customer about your
What
company?
am I looking at? What am I looking at is what I hear you say.
Right.
Okay, so when we return, we'll dive into the company. Oh, that'll be good, Pete. Some tips on how positioning your company.
Very good.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
Well, we have been having a good afternoon today talking about sales part 2.
Oh, yeah.
Sales part 2.
This show and last show have been based on World-Class Selling by Roy Chitwood, and we mentioned several other books. And we challenge you, business owners out there or sales professionals, to read a book every other month.
Absolutely. You can do it as a team or as an individual.
That would be great. And a lot of these books are not very long. Now, this particular one, pretty long, but it's got great information in it. And it's going to help you get a mindset so that you do a lot of things by habit.
Right,
and
exactly.
That's really what we're after, is trying to get things to where they're at a point where you're doing them just naturally.
Well, and here's the thing, is this is what coaching's all about, is creating new habits, creating the discipline. And it's not just about going to a training class, but are those people there every week making sure you follow through and making you a better coach in order to make that happen? So, Pete, right before the break, we were talking about the 5 buying decisions, correct? And what they go through, which was they buy you first.
It's about the salesperson. Mm-hmm. The next one is about the company. That's number 2. Number 3 is about your product or service, specifics on that. Number 4, once we get through that, is the price. And number 5 is the time. Is this the correct time? Mm-hmm. And we really, as salespeople, we really got to remember we can't skip steps.
No. We can't. And so we're going to dive into the company a little bit now. Right.
Yep.
Okay, so what do they say? What does he say about the company? And I like this. In this book, what Pete is going through is we have one company who sends all their salespeople through this process. It's a really good, it's a good book. Mm-hmm.
They do. And they're a global company.
Global company.
We work with the North American group, and every person goes through this training. And so some of the things that might be going through your prospect's head is, can this come? I know the salesperson's great. I understand them. I believe in them. And once I buy this very expensive piece of equipment, how is the service going to be when I have an issue on a Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock? How quickly are they going to be here to take care of it? And are they going to be good at what they do?
Right.
And how do I know that?
Mm-hmm. Other than the salesperson saying, they're great. Trust me.
I like that. You do it in a loud voice, a different voice. You change your voice a little.
Yeah, I was being a different person. That's awesome. So how do they do it, Pete?
Yeah, so you've got to be prepared and know enough about your company to be able to say, our service technicians have been on the job for an average of X years. They've actually been technicians in this business prior to us hiring them. They have been using and helping our equipment, or our customers use this equipment and repair the equipment for the last 8 years. And there's somebody right down the street that we could go down and talk to about their experience. And a lot of times these business owners know each other.
Right.
If you let them know, hey, the gentleman right down the block here has been using our equipment for the last 8 years. Here's how we've taken care of them. And I'd love you to take you down there and show it to you and talk to them.
Got it.
Or the 3 of us go out to lunch.
So you're saying having a process where you can create company respect, mm-hmm. and you're selling the company with examples of here's our team, or here is a referral, in some way a process in which you can have the company representative with some facts.
Right.
Okay, got it.
To be able to back up
what you're saying.
What you're saying, so that the customer recognizes that, you know what, if this person's gone tomorrow, I'm still going to be able to get service by this company. They've been in business for 30 years. They've got a very trained service staff. They are going to take care of me. And maybe I've met the owner of the company themselves. And we talked about if you're the business owner, that going out on calls with your salespeople, you should be doing some of that. You don't need to do it every day, obviously, but you should be out meeting your customers with your salespeople occasionally. Right? To get to know them directly.
I like that. Okay, so I like that. So you're selling yourself, and some of the books we recommended is Adjusting Your Disc, and you're selling your company, which we just went through. Okay, be very specific. And here's one thing I used to do as a sales manager, is in your meetings, is I took a ball, and I'd throw the ball, and I'd ask a question. That how well do our salespeople know? Are they thinking on their feet? It would be a question about our company.
Yep.
So they can answer those, or it might even be an objection that you
you'd
have to
ask
answer.
them a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, tell us something about our company that when we serve this target market, how do we best serve it? And you throw them the ball and they have to answer.
Oh, gotcha. You pick somebody random and threw the ball to them.
Yeah.
Plus, you check their reflexes.
There you go.
Which
well,
is
we
great.
make it fun.
Oh, yeah.
And we can all learn from it. And doing this as a process, or, here's my objection. Boom. your cost is too high. What do we
And
say?
you're a basketball player, so
Yeah.
you like that.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
It was just a tennis ball. I wasn't throwing a
Yeah.
softball or anything.
Softball.
Maybe a Nerf ball.
A baseball.
Yeah, so throwing that around and seeing how quickly, because we need to be, and in question-based selling, he calls it the popcorn effect, is one of the things you want to be able to do is if somebody asks you a question, it has to be like popcorn. Pop, 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 pop. And he actually had an exercise in there that I failed, and I realized, oh my gosh.
So you don't have to say, I'll send you a note when I get back to the office. You want to be able to tell them.
You need to tell them right away. So you're
Okay.
testing the popcorn effect, basically. Okay. And so the popcorn effect, here's one thing, is here's another piece of homework. Within a popcorn effect, meaning as you're making popcorn, it pops out. Tell me your top 10 to 15 clients now. Go.
The names?
Yeah. And so it's...
Oh, yeah. They should have that right at the top of their head.
Well, I
right?
tried to do it myself, and I'm like, okay, there's, we
can't
have
think
a
of it.
lot of clients.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, I was like not doing the popcorn effect very well. I was like, okay, I need to practice that.
Okay.
So it is something that,
I'm baking a cake instead of doing popcorn.
yes, exactly. What is your popcorn effect with all of these?
Good. So you gotta be so versed at it that it's right at the tip of your tongue.
Exactly. And that's what we
Yeah.
want you to do. And we want you to practice it. It's like you're a basketball player. You're going to practice free throws, right?
Right.
We want you to practice this.
You're gonna do thousands of them.
Yes. So do this in meetings. Do it when you're driving.
Okay. Do it in front of the mirror. Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. Driving is a good point because you are driving a lot. A lot of you, anyway, are driving quite a bit. That time in the car is huge because you can listen to a book and you can get your mindset correct before you go in to talk to your customer. And you can also get yourself in a positive mindset.
Right.
All
Very
the
good.
time.
Very
Okay.
good.
So the next thing, the third thing, after they've gotten to the point where they trust you and they believe you have integrity, they understand your company, now it's about your product or service. Now we're getting into the details. So we've really got to get those first two down before we get to the next one.
Till we start talking about our widget kind of thing.
Your thing, right?
Whatever the widget
Whatever that
is.
thing is.
And that's
Yep.
where we have technical expertise. We understand the difference between benefits versus features because we want to sell on
What's the
benefits.
difference? Yeah.
Well, I liked what Alan said. It's not about, or you even said it too, it's not about the machine, it's what the machine does for you.
Yes, right.
Why it matters.
How it does it.
Why
How
does it
quickly.
matter to me?
Right.
Like, what was it, Alan? We don't need the hammer and nail. We
The
need the hole.
drill, we want the
You don't
hole.
go to Sears or a hardware store to buy a drill or a drill bit. You go because you need a hole in the wall.
That's it.
You need
There
the
you go.
results
That's-
of
we-
what that piece of equipment can
There
do.
you go.
And that's when we're
it.
talking product. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Alan.
Alan.
Very good, Alan.
I try.
Yes.
I'm not being nefarious.
And you're not being
You're
nefarious
not.
or villainous.
Or villainous.
Those are our words of the week. So, Pete, okay, so that's what we're talking about for product, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yep. The prospect's mulling over the quality of the wares, the installation, delivery schedule, many other factors, and you need to be well versed in all those things.
Of the product.
Right.
Okay, so what you can do is take this book and write down those, as you're talking with your sales team, all of these and have conversations around this.
Well, and I think we want to mention too, but I think we flipped it around. If you had done the exercise previously about what negative thoughts you might have about salespeople, what are some positive ones that you need to put into your head?
Right. There you go.
And make sure you know that they're clear to you. Okay?
That's very good. Very
Okay.
good.
Good. So the fourth thing is about price. Talk
Okay.
about price a little bit, Peg. What do you really? What are some of the things that people get hung up with? Not the customer, but the salesperson about price.
So a couple things with price. Generally, when we're coaching, and I'm going to use veterinarians for a second.
All right.
So a
Not
doctor,
in a nefarious way.
No, not in a nefarious or villainous way.
Good.
When a doctor comes in to give a treatment plan of an animal, what they want is the best thing for this animal because guess what? That animal can't speak to you. And here I am, an expert saying
Voice of
this-
the pet.
Yeah, the voice of the pet. I'm going to be the voice of the pet. Sometimes when we worked with different clinics, what we see is they get concerned about what the person can afford. Oh, you might not do this surgery to save little Fluffy, and so I'm going to give you a less than.
Now I'm jumping in here, but they might, and I've seen this happen before. They may not even offer the best treatment because they're making an assumption about the other person.
You're making an assumption of somebody's wallet, and you're not allowed to do that because you don't know where they are and what they want, and that's not a service. You're determining what they need without making the choice for them.
But you can, as a professional salesperson, is give them, here's the absolute best treatment. This is what I would do for my animal. And here are the benefits. Here are the features. Here are the things that it's going to do for the pet. Here's if that is too much, here's the second thing we could do, and here are the risks. Here are the potential downside of that.
And if you listen to our radio show, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, which was negotiating.
Okay.
I think it was 2 weeks ago. And if you want to go to our takeactionbusinesscoaching.com, you'll go under business talk, you'll see it.
Negotiating.
Really, one of the things you do want to do when it comes to price and negotiating is, number one, listen to that show, but also throwing out options, and always start with the highest first. So here's our $5,000 package, our $4,000 package, and our $3,000 package.
Okay.
And allowing them to make the choice.
And that book that's based on is Negotiate as If Your Life Depended on It, right?
By Chris Voss.
Chris Voss.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a
Excellent
great book. So as far as pricing, that's what I would say with pricing, Pete, is just to, and again, it's a belief system and a practice.
Don't make assumptions, and give your highest value first.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And you could be prepared to have the second tier thing ready to go, and let them choose.
Let them
right?
choose whatever
Right.
it is. Right. Exactly.
Right. Don't choose for them.
Correct.
By not offering it.
Right.
Okay. So that's an important issue about price.
Well,
so
good.
the next thing is the timing.
And that's our last one,
Sometimes,
right?
Yeah, the
Timing.
last one of these 5 buying decisions, and they're in order. The last thing is, okay, you love it. I know you need it. You know you need it. You want it. You know how it works. Now is the timing.
Exactly. So one of the things we talked about earlier is making sure that when we have done our preliminary homework, that we know that the timing is right for them.
Great.
And remember, it's their timeline, not ours.
It is.
Don't push our timeline on you.
Right.
Make sure, because that's serving the customer. That's serving our person. Making sure that the timing is correct.
So what you're also saying is that we should do our homework before we go out and spend hours working on a huge proposal. If we know that the capital's not available for 6 months, don't go through
Don't
the
expect
nth
too
detail
much. Yes.
and knowing that, well, they can't possibly do this until October.
Right.
This has been Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given was not intended to replace that of your business advisor. For more information about the topics discussed today, call 614-306-7922. 614-306-7922. Tune in next week at this time for more Business Talk, your business, your success.